Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel and welcome to the semi-final 2 prediction video that I'm doing here for Eurovision 2025. I know that you will definitely use this video to get your odds in for tonight's show because of my brilliant predictions from semi-final 1. In case you haven't seen those, I'll just leave you on that little bit of a cliffhanger, I suppose, because they were some parts probably good, some parts less good, let's just say that much. And one thing that I did back on Tuesday when I made that prediction video was that I was actually staying quite optimistic. I felt like, yeah, I'm gonna be optimistic and really see how far that takes me. That massively backfired. So today I will do the opposite. I will try and be a bit more pessimistic because then maybe I could jinx some results to go the way of my preference. I think that sounds like a good plan. Would you agree? Yeah? Good, then let's do that. This semifinal, I will be honest, I care a little less about this one. There are a lot of songs here that I don't have too much of a strong opinion regarding. However, it's a very interesting one to predict because I think a lot of it is just up in the air and no one really knows which ones will go through. I feel like there are 3 that everyone knows will go through, and then there are 2 that everyone knows will not go through. At least that's what we think, though. But Tuesday was rather unpredictable when it came to the results. The odds didn't get it right. They were quite far from it, to be honest. And that, of course, makes it all the more interesting. But anyway, I'm going through my 5 categories here. All 16 songs are here. And I'll put them through within the categories. And, of course, 10 of them have to make it. And 6 of them have to miss out. And I'm going to be starting with the one that I think will win the semifinal. And that will be Finland. That's my guess because watching the dress rehearsal yesterday, this was a proper sucker punch of a performance. This is something no one will forget having seen. It is, of course, what we know from UMK, and that performance was already very strong enough. Erika is a force of nature in this performance, just completely knocks it out of the park. And the energy of it, the memorability of it, the camera work is incredibly professional and so well planned out. So well executed as well, and this just feels like the song that everyone will for sure remember. Whether everyone will vote for it, that's another thing, but it just feels like the biggest and most huge entry, I guess, and performance in the semifinal, and I think that it will win because of that. However, I think that it will be quite close with the song that I think will finish in second, and that would be Israel, and that is for obvious reasons. Everyone already knows that it's sailing through, and everyone already knows that it's probably gonna do score very, very highly because people will vote for a country instead of a song in this case. No one can give any minus points, so the support that Israel will get in the televote is it's inevitable. I just have a feeling like maybe Finland can rack up enough points to actually take the win of the semifinal ahead of Israel, but that could, of course, also be very, very wrong, but I'm guessing that it's going to be close between the 2, and I'm putting Israel in second. And the third one that I'm having a sailing through, I think everyone has these 3 as the top 3 that they think will finish. What order? That's up to everyone, of course, but I would not take you very seriously if you don't have Austria in this top 3 as well. However, one thing that I think I really want to point out here is that I don't think Austria will be close to Finland and Israel in the televote score. I actually think that this is one of these performances that a lot of people will just see like, yeah, this is really good, the vocals are strong, it's a really cool song, it's very cinematic, and it's a cool performance. But do those performances always do incredibly well in the televote? I don't think they do. One thing that I think more and more of is that the televote seems to just get behind the catchiest song, the most instantaneous song, the most fun songs. And this one isn't that. And that's just kind of what feels like I'm holding, like what's holding it back from just getting a really high score here. I think jury-wise in the final, when it gets there, because I'm sure it will, we'll see how much that can balance it out. But right now, I feel like this will end up quite a few points behind the top 2. Still sailing through, because I think it also there's like no worry at all about this making it, but I'm placing it in third place, and by quite some distance is my prediction as well. Still in the top 3, I'm really looking forward to seeing this tonight again, without having to look at the text prohibited to film screen, just covering up the entire performance. I wasn't able to see much, but I was able to hear what I heard, and it sounded great. So and the visual concept around the performance as well is really, really cool. So Austria in third is what I'm thinking. Now the tricky stuff begins. I'm trying to place out these 13 songs in an order, and I don't really think there are any of these that is just like no worries, but I kind of want to, I can't put everything in scraping through. So the ones that I'm most comfortable, or no, not comfortable, the ones that I'm most confident will get through here, I'll put these up, and I'm actually sitting here and really struggling with thinking which ones I would say, but okay, let's do this. In fourth place, this could come as a surprise, honestly. I'm not sure. I'm throwing and turning. I haven't really prepared the actual list I'm going for. But okay, let's just go for it. I'm going for Greece. That's a surprise for sure, right? That's a surprise one, I think anyway. No, but the thing about Greece is I've always been very clear that this song is not a song I find particularly exciting or intriguing. However, when you see it in the midst of all of these other performances, this is something that you will remember, because I think people usually tend to just appreciate a very, very strong vocal. And that's what this one has. It's a vocal showcase while also being very much a song. It's not like the song is just structured to be a vocal showcase, because she's still balanced in her performance. It's just an effortless vocal performance, and one with a lot of drama, of course, one with a lot of emotion. And I think that will just come across, and people will just generally be in agreement, like, that's a really good vocal, you know. That's what a lot of people will just think about it, I think. I don't find the performance to be particularly exciting either, like the song performance, I don't really think that, but it's just one of these songs that I think will get like 6 or 7 or 4 points from everyone. Like, I can't see many countries just blanking it straight up, and that's just, I think this is going to be quite far behind the top 3, I'll be honest with saying that, and I think all of these places will be very close to each other. But I would say, yeah, Greece qualifying in 4th place. I'm going with that. I think that will actually happen. I feel very much like I'm 90% sure that Greece is qualifying, which could obviously mean that they're not qualifying. But for the moment, it just, in my head, it feels like that's very reasonable. It's also very clear in my head, regardless of what the odds say. I'm not following the odds this year because I just want to be different, I guess. Armenia, that's what I'm putting in 5th here. I think Armenia is outside of qualifying in the odds right now, which I do not understand. I watched the performance yesterday, and it's incredibly ambitious. I said this about Cyprus as well, I'm well aware. However, Armenia has a much more catchy song. This is an accessible pop tune. It's very Imagine Dragons-esque in that way, has a lot of energy. I think people at home will just find it catchy, find that to be a very memorable part of the track as well. And you got a performance to really match the ambition of the track as well. It's gritty, it's dark, it's moody, and it's also very intense, and he's running around. You definitely, like, this is a performance and a song that just sticks in here whether you want it to or not, and I think a lot of people will be very receptive towards this. I would be shocked, honestly, if Armenia miss out. In my head, I can't see that happening, regardless of what the odds say. I'm gonna stick to my own guts here, which could be a bad thing to do, of course. But I think Armenia in 5th place going through here. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with that. 6th place, I'm also probably going to say no worries. The thing is, though, there is always a worry about Malta qualifying in a televote only semifinal. But I can't see it not making it right now. Again, this is a very catchy song. It has the instrumental hook that is very simple and very straight to the point and very memorable because of it. It's also a performance that will grab your attention. It will not leave your mind. You will think about it afterwards. You will talk about it afterwards with whoever you're watching with. Like, you gather the family around. You're all watching this performance. This will be talked about, and this will be not ignored for sure. Some people will just think it's terrible. I know that will be the case. And some people will be all for it and think that it's just wonderfully fun and clever and you know, just really, really entertaining. And that's going to be enough to put this one quite comfortably through as well. So I'm guessing 6th place for Malta here. Yeah, I'm going to stick with that. And in 7th, I'm not sure if I'm going to go with no worries on this one as well, but Australia is definitely my 7th. Maybe there's a slight... No, there's not a slight worry. Australia in 7th, no worries. Australia is making it as well. It's a very fun performance. People will remember the blender. People will remember the grandmother walking in and turning out to be a young woman when she walks out of it. I think people will also remember how over the top and just crazy it is, and I mean, he's a very charismatic performance in the way that he's very much connected with the camera throughout the whole thing. It's also a very wacky song, and it has a lot of memorable parts about it. So I can't really see a world where Australia doesn't make it through the semi-final either. I think this one's going through, and in 7th place at that. Now things keep being tricky. In 8th, I'm kind of gonna go like this one. Now I'm probably moving to the scraping through here. I'm gonna stick to my kind of reasoning behind Greece here and say that Serbia is qualifying for similar reasons, because this is just a steady, secure, and very convincing vocal performance, I would say. Song-wise, I don't think a lot of this, I think it's rather incohesive. I don't think that people will really feel the flow of the track or the kind of ambition with it. However, it is a Balkan ballad, and it's a very well sung one, and I think that will just gather some support from all around. And of course there is most likely a 12 dropping in from Montenegro. I'm just having a hunch about that one, I guess, but I think it'll be enough to put Serbia through here. It's a strong vocal performance, and that is that's really my reasoning for putting this above the others here. And right after Serbia, I'm going with Ireland. I'm not a big fan of it, and I'm not convinced by the live performance, but I just keep returning to thinking about what I said, or like thinking about what happened on Tuesday. Because one thing that I think really stood out about Tuesday's results was that catchy choruses work. Tutta l'Italia qualified. Espresso Macchiato qualified. Bora Bora Bastu, of course, qualified, you know? But it's like these catchy, instantaneous hooks, and they go through. It doesn't have to be super convincing outside of that, I think. If you have a hook that will stick into your audience's ears, maybe that's enough. And that's really what I think about Ireland here. Like the songs that missed out, you know, you had Croatia and Belgium and Cyprus and Azerbaijan and Slovenia. These are not instantaneous hooks, I would say. Ireland has one. And I think that's going to work in Ireland's favor. I have my reason for thinking it's going to go through. I personally don't want it to go through, but if it does, I completely get it. That's just the way it is. So I'm actually putting Ireland through here in 9th. And you can think that I'm crazy, but you will think I'm even more crazy when I put Denmark as the final qualifier that I think will go through. Now this one may be controversial, like you can see the countries left there. What about Czechia? What about Lithuania? What about Luxembourg? What about Latvia? I mean, those are of course the 4 that's going to come up next. You already knew that, but you could make a case for all 4 of those qualifying. I'm going with Denmark. And you know why I'm going with Denmark? Again, it's a very strong, convincing vocal performance. There is, I think, one thing you just kind of want to hear is a singer that you just know there will be not a single moment where you're unsure if she's just gonna, you know, completely deliver. Because this is from start to finish, it's a perfect vocal performance, and it's so effortlessly done and it's so convincingly performed that you just know that it's going to be perfect from start to finish. And I think that will connect with people, and that will be what wins it over. It's also a very strong pop song. If Sweden if Sweden voted in the semi-final, I think we will reward it with some points. I'm not sure about the other countries, like what they think. Australia, maybe they're a bit in the Sweden vibe of what they vote for. I have no idea. But I just think a strong pop song with a really good vocal performance could be enough sometimes. Maybe this is, you know, a bit of hope I'm putting into Denmark as well, because I really want them to qualify with this. But out of the ones I have here, I just have a hunch somewhere for some reason that Denmark's going to be the one to pull through. And that's what I've got. These are the 10 qualifiers I got there now. You would be disappointed with these 10, maybe. I don't know, I would be, but I'm sticking with them. And in 11th place, I'm going with Luxembourg to just miss out here. Because Luxembourg, very clear visual identity about it. I am a little bit disappointed by the overall performance of it. I think that the lack of variation throughout does hold it back slightly. It's also somewhat on the darker side. I don't think you get that much connection with the performance as a whole. And the song, it's moderately catchy, I would say, but it's not this instant hook that I think people will just sing along to immediately, like Ireland, like Armenia, like Malta. I just don't see that. But this one could absolutely sneak through, or not sneak through, but this one could absolutely make it as well. But for some reason, right now my feeling is just that this will be the one to just miss out by a few points. And I'm sticking by that. I'm also going to throw Czechia in here, in 12th place. This is a song which I think is quite good. It's got its moments, it has a cool finale, it has a little bit of a dance break that I kind of like the switch up from. But there's just something a bit flat about the whole presentation. It's not that exciting, I would say, as it really should have been, probably. I like the stark color contrast that is using the white and black and how they really use that. The dancers, they're visible, which you can't take for granted this year, unfortunately. And they actually have a purpose in the performance, which is very clear. I like those aspects. But there's just something about this one that seems like people will not pick out this one amongst 15 other songs to be like, that's the one I want to vote for. And I think that's really the case here. So I'm going with 12th place for Czechia. Crazy, right? Even more crazy, maybe. I'm going with Lithuania in 13th. Now, the reason for that is because I love Lithuania this year, but I also loved Belgium this year. That's part of the reason, but also the reason is that I know that this is a very divisive song. Just like Belgium, I suppose. This has a very passionate fan base. However, how large is that fan base? I'm not so sure. I think it's quite small, to be completely honest. This is not a genre that is commonly known to do well in Eurovision, and maybe not in, Televote either. We haven't had many songs like this, of course, but it's so dark and gritty and just kind of screeching in terms of like an agony and desperation in its mood. And I think a lot of people tune into Eurovision to not get that emotion on them. However, maybe there are some people tuning into Eurovision who will just be like, wow, this exists in Eurovision? Now I'm becoming a fan of it, and I'm gonna vote for Lithuania. I hope that's the case. But at the moment, I just don't see there to be enough of a wide appeal for this entry. And that hurts me. I hope I'm so wrong on this one, but I'm having Lithuania in 13th here, right next to Latvia, who I also think is a bit on the on the inaccessible side of things, I guess. This is not a catchy song, again, and I think catchy choruses is what makes it through in a televote-only semifinal. Vocally, they're strong. They have a clear world-building concept on stage as well, but it's quite dark. It's not particularly inviting, if I'm completely honest, and it's a bit of a tricky one for many people to grasp, I think. And I'm not sure if that's really going to work for Latvia. So I'm placing that one in 14th. I don't really have any other reason for it. I know a lot of people are optimistic about Latvia and they really want to see it go through and they really think that it will. I'm just not sure. I'm very skeptical towards this one because I do not see it have a wide appeal. It's just the way it is. 2 songs left, Montenegro and Georgia. I'm going with Montenegro in 15th, mainly for the reason that I think it has a very slick performance to it. It is more memorable as a song, I would say. And let's not beat around the bush. Serbia is in the semifinal, and I think Serbia will give it a few points. So yeah, I'm just going with Montenegro there. I think vocally this is very strong as well. That could give it some points here and there. But I do not think there is a chance that Montenegro will make it out of the semifinal. If it does, that would actually be a really cool surprise. And I would be happy for them. I would be really happy for them because that's a proper underdog story. Even better underdog story than Portugal was on Tuesday. Because Montenegro is like... Portugal is still like on a qualification streak, It's a popular Eurovision country. Montenegro, qualifying with this, I'd be like, yeah, good on you. Go on, Montenegro. Just surprise us. Georgia, I still feel like it's not a particularly memorable song, and the performance doesn't give me much either. I like the dancers. I think people at home will like the dancers, but it's not enough to be the one that you pick up the phone and you you call in and you spend money on voting for it. I don't see that. And that's my prediction. And if this happens, I will be a bit sad. I would be quite sad, to be honest. But I gotta stay true to what I think will happen. At this very moment in time, at 5:50 p.m. on Thursday, this is what I think will happen. And I'm standing by that. And I hope my prediction is terrible. Yeah, that's it for now. What do you think of my prediction? Does it look good? What would your feelings be if this was actually to happen? What would you be most upset about if this happens? Or would you be stoked about it? Let me know. And also, share what your prediction looks like. And then we can compare who did best of us. Thank you so much for watching this video, though. Please join me later tonight when I will be live streaming my reaction to the actual qualifier announcements. And we'll have a post-show chat as well, just like we did on Tuesday. I really enjoyed that. Hopefully you did as well. And hopefully you can join me tonight as well for another one, to quote a classic quote. Take care of yourselves until later. Bye for now, though.